So it is finally Friday, the end of the work week, and as always, it is so great to have you here, and I hope you're staying safe and healthy out there. As for me, the only thing that I wish is for peace and unity in this beautiful place that we call planet Earth. Anyways, today we have another delicious recipe. We're talking a one-pan lemon garlic shrimp pasta. Now this is a dish that truly hits on all cylinders, as it's got so many beautiful textures and flavors. It's so easy to make, and it's all done in just 30 minutes, folks. Serve this pasta dish next to a garden salad and a bottle of Spanish wine, and you got yourself one heck of a great meal. Let's begin by grabbing a large fry pan. You want to use a larger pan here. This is a one-pan pasta dish. That way all the ingredients can fit in there, and I'm going to heat it with a medium heat. While the pan is heating, I'm going to thinly slice 2 shallots. You can also use an onion here if you like. I just prefer to use the shallots as their mellower flavor won't overpower the lemon or garlic, but it's still going to add a beautiful texture and flavor to this dish. Then I'm going to grab 6 cloves of garlic, and we'll roughly chop them. With a technique, we're going to cook the garlic, and in this recipe, if you finely mince them, they can easily get a bitter flavor, so you want to cut them into larger chunks. That way they stay nice and fragrant. And for the final ingredient, I'm going to grab about 16 raw jumbo shrimp that have been peeled and deveined and place them over some paper towels. Now the shrimp that I'm using I bought frozen and thawed out just to make things easier and cheaper. Of course you can use fresh shrimp here. Either way you go, make sure you pat the shrimp down completely dry with paper towels to remove any of the excess water in the shrimp. And we'll season the shrimp with sea salt and freshly cracked black pepper just on one side. Alright, let's move back to the fry pan. It's been heating for about 6 minutes on a medium heat, so it should be nice and hot. At this point, I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, which is 45 milliliters. For this recipe, I'm using an olive oil from Apollo. This is their Miller's favorite organic extra virgin olive oil. It has such an incredible flavor to it, and it works perfect with this pasta dish. Link where you can get some in the description box below. And we'll immediately start adding our shrimp into the pan, all in a single layer. I always like to add the first one by the handle and then go in a circular motion. That way when I have to flip them to cook the other side, I know exactly where to begin. That way they all evenly cook. And I'm going to go for about 60 seconds per side. After a total cooking time of 2 minutes on the shrimp, that's 1 minute per side, I'm going to start removing them from the pan and transferring them into a dish. And we'll set our shrimp aside and cover it with some foil paper. That way they stay nice and warm. Now using the same pan with the same heat, I'm going to add in the sliced shallots and the roughly chopped garlic. And we'll mix the garlic and shallots around. That way they're evenly coated in that olive oil. And it's very important to mix this continuously. That way the ingredients evenly saute. And also as you're mixing, make sure to scrape up anything that was left over from the shrimp, as it's going to give this dish an incredible depth of flavors. After about 2 minutes, and the shallots are starting to turn translucent, and the garlic is lightly sauteed, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of dry thyme, which is a little under 1 gram. And we'll season with sea salt and a generous portion of freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll give this a quick mix. That way those seasonings are evenly coating the garlic and shallots. Then we'll add in 3½ cups of vegetable broth, which is 830 milliliters. As always, the broth that I'm using is homemade. You'll find the recipe on how to make it in the iCard above and description box below. Of course, you can also use chicken broth here or even water. Just make sure to season accordingly. Then we'll turn up the heat from a medium heat to a high heat and bring the broth to a boil. Once the broth comes to a boil, it's time to add in the pasta. I'm going to be using penne pasta here, but you can use whatever type of pasta you like. The most important thing, make sure to check the cooking times in the pasta you're using. That way you perfectly cook your pasta. I'm going to measure out 2¼ cups, which is 8 ounces or 225 grams. And add the pasta into the boiling broth. And you don't have to mix this continuously, but do get in there every 1 to 2 minutes, as it's going to help release the starch in the pasta. That way later on, once the dish is done and we have a little broth left over, it's going to help thicken it up to give you a beautiful sauce. And also, if you're using a thinner pasta here, such as a spaghetti, you want to add in a little bit less broth than I did, as that pasta cooks a lot faster. And if you add in too much broth in there at the end, your pasta dish is going to be too liquidy. After about 9 minutes, and you can see a lot of the broth has been absorbed by the pasta, but there's still plenty of broth left, I'm going to place a lid on the pan and lower the fire to a low-medium heat. And we're going to go here just between 2 to 3 minutes. After about 3 minutes, I'm going to remove the lid from the pan. And as you can see, the majority of the broth has been absorbed by the pasta, but there's still a little bit of broth left, which is completely normal, as that's going to give us a beautiful sauce in the bottom. For the final step, I'm going to add in our reserved shrimp back into the pan, evenly spread them around, place the lid back on the pan, and turn off the heat. And we're going to let this sit here for 1 minute, that way those shrimp can heat through, and it's also going to ensure that the pasta's fully cooked. Then we'll remove the pan from the stovetop. Finely grate in the zest of half a lemon, making sure to avoid that white pith as it adds a bitter flavor. And we'll sprinkle it with some finely chopped fresh parsley. Our 1-pan lemon garlic shrimp pasta is done. Super easy to make, made with minimal ingredients, and it's got such a beautiful aroma coming out of it. Let's give this a try and see how it turned out. Now this is what simple hometown cooking is all about. Look how beautiful this looks. Coming in for the real deal with a big boy bite. Here we go. It is so good. It's unfair. Here. Bite for you. Okay, I might as well eat it. Seriously delicious. The shrimp and the pasta beautifully cooked with an incredible texture, and all the flavors work so well, with that garlic really standing out and that fresh lemon zest adding a beautiful pop of freshness. Folks, you saw this easy to make, a simple pasta dish. Like I told you at the beginning, serve it next to a garden salad and a bottle of Spanish wine, and you're gonna have yourself one heck of a great meal. Really quick before I go, a shout out to a couple of my patrons, Marco Steenbergen, Kim Larson, Holly Parker, and Carlos Quintanilla. And guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. For the rest of you, if you're not with me on Patreon and you'd like to support the show, you'll find my Patreon link in the description box below and iCard above. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, leave me a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your family and friends. That way our Spain on a Fork community can continue to grow. Till the next time, hasta luego.